Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Georgiados here. I wanted to make another video from the same lesson that you were learning about yesterday about fractions that have the same numerator and different denominators. Okay, it is a very, very difficult and confusing concept because it's like the opposite. So I wanted to go over it again and I wanted to explain it in my own way with some old school chart paper. So I realized that I didn't make it super big. Wish I would have made it bigger, but bear with me. All right. So hopefully you can see. All right. So we're talking about fractions with like numerators. That means the same number is on top, different numbers on the bottom. Okay. So I said the bigger the denominator, so the bigger that the number on the bottom is, the more people you have to share with. So you get a smaller slice. So if you could see here, I have a nice brownie that I cooked myself. Doesn't it look delicious, right? Okay. But Spiro just came downstairs and said, "Smells so delicious. Can I have a piece of that brownie?" So of course we have to share it equally. So if I'm just sharing it with me and Spiro, there's two people, right? So I would cut it into halves. So right now, I am getting, I didn't do a great job making it even. I would be getting 1/2, right? Okay. So right now I get 1/2 and Spiro gets 1/2, okay? But then let's say, we're pretending we're not quarantining right now. Let's say my mom and dad come over and they walk in the door and they go, "Oh, it smells so delicious. You made brownies for us? Great. Can we have a piece?" Well, now I have to share it with myself, Spiro, my mom, and my dad. 4 people. So now I'm going to take this same size brownie, because I can't make the brownie bigger or smaller, but I just have to cut it into more pieces. So now if I have to share it with 4 people, do you think my nice big piece here is going to get bigger or smaller? Let's see what happens. Uh-oh. I used to have this whole half. I no longer have that whole half. Now I only have this little bit of fourths, right? Okay. So if you can see, as I split it with more people, first I had a half. Okay. I only split it with 2 people. My piece was pretty big. Then I had split it with 4 people. Now I only have a fourth. My piece is getting smaller and smaller. What do you think is going to happen if some friends come over and now I had to split it with 8 people? Do you think my piece is going to get bigger or do you think it's going to get smaller? Let's see. Ready? I have to cut it again. Here's my 1/4 that I have. Ready? Chop. Goodbye. Oh my gosh. I started with this whole entire piece, but then we had to keep cutting it for more and more people. Now I only have this one little piece here. 1/8. Okay? So if you notice, as I cut it with more and more people, 2 people, my slice is pretty big. 4 people, it's getting smaller. I share it with 8 people, now my slice is really small. Okay? And if I kept doing that and kept cutting and cutting and cutting, my slice would keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay? So remember, the bigger the denominator on the bottom, that means your piece is actually getting tinier. You don't want to share with a lot of people. You only want to share with like one person, right? So if we zoom in now over here, I forgot my purple marker. I'll be right back. Got it. Okay. If we look over here, I am comparing the fractions 2/4 to 2/8. Okay, so let's think about this. If you had this delicious brownie and you had to share it, would you rather share it with 4 people or 8 people? Well, if I share it with 4 people, that means I have the same size brownie and I'm cutting it into 4 equal parts. If I share with 8 people, I have to share it with 8 and cut it into 8 different parts. Okay, so let's see. If I color in 2 of these versus 2 of these, which one has more colored in? 2/4 does, right? Because my pieces are bigger, so I would get more. So we're going to say 2/4 is greater than 2/8. Okay, so I know that you've seen videos of Mr. Curzio and Mr. Popko doing these models on the computer, but I personally like to make my models on paper because during these models, it is so important that you make your models the same size, okay? I know it's very hard to draw it exact, but on the computer, it's just super hard to draw it exact. So try it on paper, okay? So if I'm comparing now 3/6 to 3/8, okay, I'm going to draw the same exact shape, the same exact size. So I draw a rectangle, 2 rectangles, right? They're just about the same size, okay? I tried my best. Now for this one, I'm going to cut it into 6 equal parts. For this one, I'm cutting it into 8 equal parts, okay? So if you notice, my part with 6, those parts look a little bit bigger than my 8ths. So which one do I think is going to be greater, 3/6 or 3/8? Let's check. I'm going to color in. And when I start coloring in, I'm going to color the same squares in. That's the easiest way to compare. So I start over here at top left, and I'm going to do the top. I'm going to keep going on the top, okay? Now if I do 3/8, I'm going to do the same thing. I start on the top left. I'm not going to go down here. That would be very difficult to compare. I'm going to keep going across. They're very, very close, but 3/6, the whole entire top is colored in. 3/8, there's one part of the top that's not colored in. So which one do we know is bigger? 3/6 is greater than 3/8. Okay, last one. I did 4ths, and this time I did a circle. You could do either or, it doesn't matter. But you have to do the same shape, and it has to be the same size. Okay, so I have 4/4 and 4/8. Ooh, this is an easy one. 4/4, what does 4/4 mean? That means it must be one whole. I'm coloring this whole thing in. And 4/8, well, 4 is half of 8, so I must only be coloring half of this one in. Which one is clearly greater? 4/4 is greater than 4/8. Okay, so let's do one more, and let's do it together, okay? Bear with me. I'll make this one nice and big for us. Come on. What haven't we done yet? How about we will compare 5/6 and we will compare 5/8. Okay? So, I'm going to draw 2 rectangles. One for my 5/6 diagram, one for my 5/8 diagram. Okay? They're going to be the same size though. I want to make it nice and big so you all can see. I'm going with rectangle. I think rectangles are easier to work with than squares. Okay, so I have a rectangle about that size. I like using the lines to know, like, okay, I use 1, 2, 3 lines. This one's also going to be 1, 2, 3 lines. This way it's going to be a little hard. I'm just going to use my eye and do my best. 1, 2, 3 lines. And I think that looks about good. A little bit more. Okay, those are about equal, right? Now, 5/6, I'm cutting it into how many equal parts? 6. I'm sharing it with 6 people. So I like to go across first, and then boom, boom. Again, I'm trying to make these pieces about equal as well. And 5/8. I like to go across first. Hopefully, not getting on my wall. Okay. So, I have a brownie. They're the same exact size. This brownie I have to share with 6 people. This brownie I have to share with 8 people. Which brownie do I prefer to eat? Let's see. I'm going to color in 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to color in 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, they both take up the whole top row. But then on the bottom, this one only has 1 left over. This one has 3. This has a lot of space left over. So this is where I'm getting more, right? So 5, 6, we can say, is greater than 5/8. Okay? So like I said, I really strongly encourage you guys to do your own diagrams on paper. It's much easier. You always want to use markers in class. You always ask me, right? Feel free. For this, use 2 different color markers like I did, okay? Try your best to make your 2 different pictures about the same size and think of it as, would you want to share something so delicious with only one person and get a really big piece? Or do you want to share with a lot of people and your piece gets smaller and smaller and smaller? Okay? So remember, let's see if you can see the top. The bigger the denominator, the bigger the number on the bottom, the more people you share with, so the smaller slice you get. All right? I hope that this helped. If you have any questions, please let me know or let your teachers know. And that's it. Thanks, guys.